What's going on, all of my Lucid Motors investors? Lucid was down 7.5% today in after hours trading, up 3 pennies. So a very small move to the upside here in after hours. Now let's talk about what is going on in the overall economy, what is pushing Lucid Motors down, as well as go over the option activity and the short interest. Basically give you guys a feel for what is coming next with Lucid Motors. So let's get into this video. Hit that like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel, and as always, check out the links in the descriptions to join my 3 favorite brokerages: Moomoo, Webull, and Public. Sign up for those, get free stocks upon signing up and depositing money to fund your portfolios. Great brokerages to be a part of, as well as the buy and sell alerts. If you guys like the trades that I have made that we will go over, check that out, link down below in the description as well. So let's get into this video, guys. Like I said, Lucid Motors down about 7.5% now in after hours, flat for after hours trading. We're a couple hours into after hours as well, so I don't expect any big move here leading into pre-market tomorrow. Now, obviously, the biggest thing to know is that we are going to be closed on Thursday for Thanksgiving. Obviously, that's going to cause some degree of change to options. You're not going to have as much time on options, so they are going to decay a little bit faster. So that could be seen as a positive or a negative. If Lucid Motors does rally, then we could see more of that gamma squeeze effect, because the gamma levels are going to go up even faster and cause more hedging. Now, what is key to know is we already have a lot of options that are expiring deeper into the money. Really, the $50 strike at about 17,500, and then all of these options have a couple thousand for open interest. So all of these are going to have to be hedged for by the end of the week. But if we do make a move to the upside, we still have a lot of open interest that is just out of the money. Take a look at the $55 strike, about 10,746 for open interest. Now, I don't necessarily think this is the end to the EV bubble, because obviously we are in an EV bubble. This is very clear, right? Lucid Motors is not as overvalued as other companies like Rivian that I've talked about many times that is supporting Lucid Motors valuation, because Rivian, good old Rivian, is valued at about $100 billion, as high as $150 billion just about a week ago. Yes, they have since came down, but if you're going to value Rivian at these valuations, it makes sense to also value Lucid Motors at these kind of valuations as well. And we'll just go over my trade that I made and why, Rivian and Lucid are going to kind of go together. So Rivian was down about 8.16% in regular trading, down 2.12% in after hours trading. Like we said, Lucid Motors was down about a 7.5% loss on the day as well. So not as bad as Rivian, and that's really how we tend to be. If Rivian is up, say 5 to 10%, Lucid Motors has been up 10 to 15%. Same thing with today. Rivian tends to take a bigger beating than Lucid Motors, because I think investors know deep down Lucid Motors is the superior company. Rivian is just has a lot of hype. The Amazon hype is really feeding into this insane valuation, which is also feeding into Lucid Motors valuation. So if Rivian continues to come down, I think Lucid will continue to go down. But I think we are going to see a bounce in Rivian stock, because we have went up so hard and came down so hard. I think a lot of people are going to feel more comfortable buying Rivian at about that $100 price tag. So that leaves about $15 per share to the downside still. And if you equate that into Lucid Motors, maybe a $5 decline in share price at the current moment, take us from $50 per share to $45 per share, is pretty reasonable. And I think that is, what will ultimately happen here in the next coming weeks. I don't know if it'll be by the end of this week. I do expect a bounce, considering how hard we did sell off in both of these stocks today. Now that leads me into the trade that I quickly want to go over with you guys. An $85 put for December 17th. Bought this for $230 November 19th, sold out today at $470. So that was a gain of over 100%, made 240 bucks on that little trade. Like I said, if you guys want to be notified every time I make a trade, check out the link for the buy and sell alerts. Now back to Lucid Motors. Let's talk about these short interest data. So we still have a very high reading for short interest. These estimates are indicating that nothing has really changed. The short sellers have not exited their short position. So we still could be looking at a short squeeze as far as the Ortex data is telling us. A 9.1% short interest of free float, 52 million shares that are sold short, and share utilization of about 65.91%. So this is going up a little bit, meaning there's less shares available to actually be sold short, and we are seeing return shares of about 6.64 million. Now, a lot of people get this confused between the borrowed shares and the return shares here on Ortex. This is only from the free float out on loan. This is not saying that 6.64 million shares were covered today. Because it says returned does not mean covered. Same thing with borrowed shares. If there's a lot of borrowed shares, it's coming from the free float out on loan, not necessarily essentially short sellers taking on more short positions or shorting the stock even more. So that's really what you guys need to know from here. Short interest still really high. Like I said, we could still go into a short squeeze with Lucid Motors, specifically if there is some kind of announcement that gives us a reason to have shorts cover and go through a short squeeze, get FOMO buyers coming into the stock. That is what I will be watching for. Now, as far as the daily candlestick chart, actually the 4-hour candlestick chart is really what I like to do technical analysis on. You guys can see that we're still in this very, very strong uptrend, and we're still following this trend line that I have put out. We actually did just bounce right off of this trend line once, and now we are kind of right there here in after hours. We're a little bit above this right now, but a clean bounce off of this today earlier in trading at about, what price was this at? About $50 per share. So as long as we don't see a gap down below this, we should continue to essentially rally to the upside. Tomorrow will be putting us in this deep channel, and then the day after that, Wednesday, is going to be that day to watch. That'll put us right here, and we're going to be in between a very tight range between $55 and potentially falling under $50. So watch out for that. The charts, could look a little bit better as far as the past couple of days are concerned, but still, the overall bullish trajectory is still fully intact, and you guys can see the 50-day moving average right here, still at about $47.77 per share. That should provide some support right here if we do start to actually come down. Now, I don't expect that to happen, like I said, because we did see a sharp sell-off today, and you're probably going to see a lot of people coming in and buying the dip, specifically since we were at about $62 per share as well. We have fallen about $10 from that high. I think people are going to feel comfortable buying more shares at these prices. Now, if you're buying shares for Lucid Motors, if you're buying them for the long term and you believe in this company like I do, then I don't think you can go wrong by doing that, just dollar cost averaging in. However, whatever quantity you buy every week or every month, I think just sticking to the course on that is probably the best thing to be doing. I'm not buying any shares for the long term right now. I'm going to wait for that pullback and see if I do get exercise on the contracts that I currently have, which I will show you guys here in a second. Now, that's really what you guys need to know. It could go either way. I know I sound like a fucking genie saying this. It could go either way, but there's definitely more data supporting a continued rally after this consolidation and the sell-off today, in my personal opinion. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, not a financial planner, so always come to your own conclusions on that. Now, things that are affecting the overall markets today is that, take a look at this headline. NASDAQ dips 1% as bond yields rise. Tech falters after Biden picks Powell for second Fed term. Now, what is important is the bond yields. And if you guys are unfamiliar, the bond market is almost 10 times larger than the stock market. So the bond market plays into what happens in the stock market. And the stock market was down quite substantially at the end of the day. Today, the NASDAQ was down over 1%. And really, when the bond yields rise like that, you guys can think about big money. They would rather take, a couple percentage gain, like a safe gain with bonds, say 2% gain. If you get a 2% rate with bonds, they would rather take that than going into more speculative trades and not knowing if you're going to make money or lose money. So when the bond yields rise, less people are buying bonds, so it makes those yields go up. Same exact concept as a dividend stock. So more investors, they take money out of speculative stocks like Lucid Motors, the NASDAQ stocks, and put that into bonds because you're getting more. The bond rates have went up. This is usually a sign of fear in the marketplace, and I don't exactly think it's because of Fed Jerome Powell got renominated. I think he's great for the markets, but I think it comes down to a couple other key things. And I think the biggest two things is going to be COVID cases. COVID lockdowns in Europe are getting bad. There's protests. I think 4 or 5 different countries now have went into lockdown, and a lot of these countries are even more vaccinated than we are here in America. So if they're doing this, then we could be next. And I think that's what investors are fearing here in the next couple of months could happen, and that would be bad in general, having to print more stimulus money and sending inflation to the moon, right? There's a lot of reasons why that would be bad. Don't want to get into that too much, but that is really what you guys need to know from that. You could do a lot more research and digging into this if you guys want to. As well as that, the second biggest thing is going to be China. The Chinese economy is going through soon to be stagflation, and really what this is the economy is not growing, inflation is going up. Stagflation, staggering growth, higher inflation. And they're calling for this next year, and it says it's the latest sign that the government may be thinking about taking some aggressive steps to address slowing growth, including its first lending rate cut since early 2020. Now, investors are freaking out about this as well, because if you've been giving out cheap money, basically everybody around the world, for 18 months now, if you're seeing your economy slow down right now when it's supposed to be in recovery mode, when it's supposed to be recovering, that is not a good thing. And the reason this is applicable to Lucid Motors is because your tech stocks, your Lucids of the stock market, are going to be the stocks that get hit the worst. Once shit hits the fan, those high value stocks, those are the ones that really get beat up. And on top of that, just to point out, the Chinese interest rate is at 3.85%. So it's not like it's as low as ours. Ours is at 0.25%. So it's substantially higher than ours. So in the grand scope of things, them dropping the rates is not a huge deal, but it will set a bad precedent for what could potentially happen to us, because China is the second largest economy. What happens in China tends to happen in America as well, or soon to be happen in America. Now, that's what you guys need to know. Just be mindful of that. Make sure your guys' risk exposure is accommodative to what could happen in the marketplace. That's all I'm saying. I'm not selling any of my shares. I have a really good average cost on them, so I don't think there's any way that I'll go negative on them probably ever into the future. I don't want to say ever, because my average cost is $21.46 per share. We could go lower than that. I don't think that is going to happen. So I just plan to hold these shares for 5, 10, 15 years probably, until they are the next Tesla. Let's just say that. If they never are, never is, I won't sell them. If they are, then my price target's about $200 per share. They will damn near be the next Tesla. If they're $200 per share, 1.6 billion shares outstanding, you're putting the market cap at over, $500 billion, over 500 billion for a market cap. So that would be great. But Lucid Motors, my market value of $15,342, up about $9,000, 138.35%, down $1,200 today. So I'm highly weighted in Lucid, and it definitely makes my portfolio take a bit of a beating when we are down. Portfolio diversity of about 32.77%, 300 shares, and like I said, average at $21.46 per share. Now, my passive income strategy is implemented like this. I sell covered calls when I'm substantially up on a stock. So I sold these $50, May 2022, 3 of them $50 covered calls. So essentially I agreed to sell my shares at $50 per share if Lucid is above $50 per share by May 20th, 2022. We may be higher than this, we may not be higher than this. It doesn't matter. That would be like 150%, 135% gain from where I bought my shares. I would be happy with that. If not, I will collect about $6,000 in free premium, and I'll take that any day of the week. So that's basically the situation of what is going on, what to expect with Lucid Motors. Like I said, it's kind of a toss up at this current moment. I do think you're going to see a bounce, but in the next couple of weeks, I do think you will take a turn to the downside. Keep in mind, I don't know if I'm going to be right or wrong. I strive to be right more than I am wrong. That's all you can do. But I'm not a financial advisor, not a financial planner, not your dad. I just want to help you guys make money and give you guys the most unbiased insight possible in one of my favorite stocks and obviously my largest investment. So hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel, all that good jazz. Check out the links in the description for free stock as well as the link for the buy and sell alerts. If you guys like that review and trade, you want to be a part of the next one, check that out. You guys will be notified every time I make a trade in stock options and or crypto, whether it's a day trade, swing trade, or a long-term investment. So that's all. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.